My name is Token D Rock here with another stream. Hopefully, all of you are having a wonderful Tuesday morning. It is January 10th, 9:15 a.m. Central Standard Time. If you're watching us live, crypto market cap hasn't moved a whole lot here in the past 24 hours, sitting at $852 billion. Bitcoin dominance has climbed just a little bit up to 39%. ETH dominance sitting at 19.1%. That has gone up just slightly as well. Bitcoin sitting at 7,300, ETH at 1335, BNB at 276, Cardano just under 32 cents, Dogecoin right around 7.5 cents, Matic just slightly under 85 cents. Taking a look at the Dow Jones, we are rallying right now. We have rallied this past hour by a good 150 points. Again, I do think these little rallies that we're seeing ahead of Jerome Powell speaking later today, along with the CPI numbers coming in a few days' time, think these rallies will be short-lived. I don't think CPI will inch up very much, if at all. I do think it will not be 6.5% like they're predicting. I think it's going to come out a little bit higher, maybe 6.7, 6.8. I doubt CPI has dropped 0.5% in just a single month. I think that is more likely if the Fed were to continue with their 50 to 75 basis point rate hikes. Next one is next month. So we have that to look forward to. But I think probably going to see a CPI number somewhere around 6.7 to 6.9. But that's just my take, not financial advice. Bitcoin, as we can see here in the past few minutes, has gone on a little bit of a tear, trying to retest these lines of support right around 17.3, 17.2. After bonking its head yesterday right around 17.4 and getting rejected, will the bulls continue with their momentum forwards to break past this line of support right around 17,400, or will they get rejected again? Will we see some more downside? Now, it's important to note that the past 24 hours, Bitcoin has consistently stayed above 17,100. We haven't seen any candlesticks or wicks down below that range. But again, I do think this little rally we're seeing will be short lived, inevitably. We are breaking out of this descending triangle, so to speak. But it could just be a fake out before we see a massive candlestick downwards or wick downwards. As you recall, back here on just about a month ago's time, on December 14th, we had a wick all the way up to 18,400, roughly speaking. And shortly thereafter, the 2 days that followed that, we saw a crash down all the way as low as 16,500. Pretty crazy. We saw pretty much a $1,900 move, nearly $2,000 move in just 24 to 48 hours. So I'm not saying the same thing happens here, but I do think we're going to retest these lines of support down here. So be prepared for anything. DXY seems to have not found a bottom. I'm kind of confused, kind of puzzled a little bit about exactly what DXY is doing. I do think we're going to see a reversal sometime here in the near future. Whether it's going to happen the next day, week, or month remains to be seen. But I do think DXY will bottom here sometime soon. It looks to have found a bottom, temporarily speaking, right around 103. But again, time will tell whether that sticks or not. Hard to see Bitcoin and crypto markets turning around anytime soon amidst an unfavorable macro backdrop. Industry first needs to untangle a live high voltage cord of bankruptcies, bad actors, and financial carnage. Heidi Blockchain Chick says, imagine how bad it looked when governments around the world literally shut themselves off from the rest of the world in March of 2020. Bitcoin proceeded to go from $3,000 roughly all the way to $69,000 in about a little bit over a year's time. Just remember that. Pretty crazy stuff. Again, she's kind of the belief that Bitcoin will not falter below 10K. She doesn't see Bitcoin breaking below 11, 10K ish. She thinks it's Bitcoin has shown its resilience already. To think it still has another 40, potentially 50% drop is a little, in her opinion, lunacy. I think it's probable, it's possible. Do I think it's very likely? I don't think it's very likely, but I do think we need to be prepared in the event for that happening. Have cash set on the side, keep some dry powder. The ability to self custody is not only important for individual freedom, but also critical to Bitcoin's own success. Self custody doesn't work on mobile or implies hundreds or thousands of dollars worth of equipment. That means Bitcoin will forever stay in a niche. Um, yeah, I think Bitcoin should, as Nunchuck is kind of saying here, Bitcoin needs to stay stupid simple. Allows basically stay mobile, because as they add on down here, the majority of people in developing countries don't have access to PCs like you and I do here in the West, but most of them do have smartphones. Follows that for Bitcoin to have a big of an impact as possible, whatever solutions we come up with must work on mobile. By making self custody easy and accessible, but still extremely secure on mobile, we directly contribute to raising Bitcoin's value proposition. The reason mobile is the local focal point of our products. So good on Nunchuck for laying that out for uneducated people. Coin Bureau showed this clip of a no coiner directly the strength of a conviction of a no coiner's
crypto.
of a no coiner is directly proportional to his ignorance of it. Prime example right here.
Fraud. Some of it was a pyramid scheme. There's never been anything there. It serves no purpose. It's not a store of value. It's not a medium of exchange. And as we have seen, if you want it decentralized and not under government control, it is a haven for fraudsters. And now it is in the process of going to zero, except for Bitcoin, which will probably go negative, because if we're moving into a world with carbon taxes, you have to take into account the energy that it took to produce it in the first place.
Well, that's certainly playing out with like FTX.
Yeah.
Where you're finding out that
there'll be more
house of cards.
Joe was oh boy, I don't even love Bitcoin, but you sir are full of shit. Or at least that's what I think he was thinking. The reality is, when a large country adopts Bitcoin, all other countries are forced to adopt it. Things will go fast from there. Bitcoin is a peaceful revolution. World Economic Forum telling everyone to bow down and give up their freedoms. Satoshi stands up. Alongside him is El Salvador and a few other countries, and slowly but surely more and more countries learn the value of Bitcoin and adopt it as legal tender as a result. Obviously, not all these countries will do so, but I think we will see some more dominoes falling here in the next few years, especially heading into the next bull run, if not in the next one. It was inevitable. 950 employees is quite a bit. I wonder how many total employees they have and what percentage this is. Coinbase fired 950 employees. Again, more and more corporations around the world are starting to feel the tightening of the belt that the Federal Reserve is trying to do, trying to control inflation. As a result, many companies are experiencing hiring freezes or are firing employees en masse, like right here, 950 employees gone. When someone says a Bitcoin is going to zero and has no intrinsic value, they don't understand a lick of economics, kind of like that guy over on Joe Rogan. He has very strong conviction about something he knows nothing about. An update earn update and open letter to the board of DCGO. I'm writing to you to let you know that Gemini and more than 340,000 earn users have been defrauded by Genesis Global Capital, together with its personal parent company, DCG, its founder and CEO, Barry Silbert, and other key personnel. These parties conspired to make false statements and misrepresentations of Gemini earn users, other lenders, and the public at large about the solvency and financial health of Genesis. I'm not going to read through all of this, but here's what happened. We are learning more by the day, but the present basic events as we understand as follows. Genesis lent $2.36 billion of assets to Three Arrows Capital, Singapore-based hedge fund that went belly up in June of 2022. After collateral was liquidated, Genesis indicated that it was left with a loss of at least $1.2 billion. At this point, Barry Silbert had two legitimate options: restructure the Genesis loan book inside or outside of bankruptcy court, or fill the $1.2 billion role. He did neither. At that point in time, the Genesis loan book was approximately $8 billion, which means that $1.2 billion loss from Three Arrows Capital account for roughly 15% of the loan book's assets. Restructuring then could have addressed the shortfall to achieve a full recovery of assets for all lenders, including earned users, in a short amount of time and given them direct access to liquidity. But Barry chose not to do this. He also chose not to fill the $1.2 billion hole. Instead, he pretended to. Not a good sign for Barry and co. Just smells of more trouble from DCG and beyond. Justin, first miners built with Intel's new Bitcoin mining chip go online in Canada. Good to see that. Intel's new Bitcoin mining chips are now installed and live in Hive blockchain's operations. If you wanted to be exact as to where the new Bitcoin mining chips were going, they're going to be live in Hive blockchain's operations. So good to know. JP Morgan CEO calls Bitcoin a decentralized Ponzi scheme. Bro, ... What do you guys think? Is it all FUD? Is there some validity to this? Personally, I think it's just FUD. It's just to get the few people who are still holding on to sell. That way, people like this guy and his buddies can go scoop up some Bitcoin for stupid cheap. Prosecutors are telling lawyers connected to SBF_FTX fraud investigation the case is so sprawling that it could exhaust resources of the Southern District, New York, since it includes potential bribery, campaign contribution violations, market manipulation on top of theft and fraud. Pretty crazy stuff. Reality is most altcoin devs couldn't get a job at Google. Most Bitcoin devs would never take a job at Google. Pretty interesting. Again, talking about inflation. Last month, CPI print was 7.1%. Stock market is expecting 6.5% for the month of December, but bulls need CPI to continue falling, Bitcoin rally to continue. Again, if inflation comes out higher than 6.5%, we can expect another drop in the market as a result. FTX spent $40 million in hotels, flights, and food in 2022. Court filing reveals. I don't even know how they racked up that much money for these things, considering their company, while it was worth billions of dollars, to my knowledge, the company wasn't that big. It's not like it had hundreds and thousands of employees. We're probably talking under 100 people. So for them to rack up such a crazy bill in just 2022, pretty surprising stuff. Again, big week coming. We have Jerome Powell talking today at 2 p.m. Eastern time, I believe. 2 days from now, we will get our print on the CPI inflation data. So again, pay attention. If it's higher than 6.5%, markets will probably get nuked. If it's right in line with the market's expecting, markets will probably rally. But we need to reiterate that Fed's Bostic says rates will have to remain above 5% for an extended period of time, well into 2024. Again, signaling no rate cuts in sight. The biggest psyop in politics is campaigning and running on the idea that there's easy solutions for some of the world's biggest problems. Here we have California law strips licenses from misinformation spreading doctors. Have this looming power over you that essentially can end your career, says Stanford Jay's but Bhattacharya. Sorry if I butchered your name. California bans singing in places of worship as pandemic worsens in state. Paddleboarder chased by boat arrested in Malibu after flouting coronavirus closures. City officials dumped 37 tons of sand over skate park to stop rebellious skateboarders from breaking states' stay-at-home orders. Isn't it crazy that they can do all this, but when it comes to SBF FTX, they're saying that they don't know if they have enough resources to handle the situation. But remember, they can do all these horrible things in the name of your safety. In the middle of a pandemic. Let that sink in. Austria built a nuclear power plant, never put in operation. I don't know why they never put it in operation. Probably concerns over something like Chernobyl happening, but now there is a photovoltaic plant on the site right here. Same use of land now produces 0.45 megawatts at the peak compared to 700 megawatts had they had the nuclear power plant up and running. What the F? Rich people hire tax experts to shield them from IRS. It's low-income people that get the brunt of it. Katie Porter knows this, but keep in mind she is a regular lying politician who voted against workers to break a railroad strike and is a war pig. Reason reporting in 2022, the IRS went after the very poorest taxpayers. Despite $80 billion in new funding, the agency is living up to its reputation of hassling low-income taxpayers over rich people. Isn't it ironic, They literally said to you guys, oh yeah, this is only for the rich people, blah, blah, blah. And you idiots, I'm not saying you watching this, I'm saying a lot of idiots out there just took their word for, oh yeah, the government will do exactly as it says. It's only going after the rich. It's not going after the poor or the middle class. You have nothing to worry about. And when they say that, that's exactly when you have to worry about it. The U.S. House has voted 221 to 210 to rescind over $70 billion in funding to the IRS that would have gone toward hiring 87,000 new IRS agents. This is a ploy that I believe the holdout Republicans basically demanded from Kevin McCarthy before he became speaker. We'll see if it sticks, though. I do see this passing. This did pass the House, as you can see, but will it pass the Senate? There's quite a few rhinos, quite a few establishment figures on both the left and right. They'll probably veto the crap out of something like this. I'm not going to hold my breath. I don't have too much faith in Congress. They're all a bunch of lying, sleazy scumbags, minus a very small minority of principled individuals on each side. We're talking maybe 10 to 20 people on each side, and that's in the whole of Congress. Just a reminder, very small minority. They won't stop spraying pesticides to protect honeybees. Instead, they're approving jabs for honeybees. Big pharma owns big agriculture now. Wow. By the way, the way they're going to do this isn't by syringe. It's going to be fed to the bees, which might even be creepier that they can do it that way. So unlike traditional jabs, the honeybee jab isn't injected with syringe. Instead, it's mixed into queen feed when the worker bees consume. According to Dallin's statement, worker bees incorporate the jab into royal jelly, which they feed to the queen bee. Once the queen bee is consumed, the jab laid in royal jelly, fragments of the jab are deposited in her ovaries. Then the queen's larvae will be born with immunity to the disease. Dallan, sorry, I'm not great with names, says says that the jab will be available for purchase in the United States in 2023. Like, what other complications does this imply? Does this mean, bees help, crops procreate more or less? Stuff from one plant gets carried by the honeybee to another. These are pollinators, you guys. So what implications does it have for the various crops and plants that the honeybee helps procreate with? Like, what does this imply? I'm not trying to get too conspiratorial, but this could have some damaging implications moving forward. Um, if all bees are going to have this. Not saying all bees will, but sounds like they're shooting for a large majority of bees to have this. Go for a walk. Look at this number of states with adult obesity rates above 30%. In the year 2021, we have 22 states with adult obesity rates over 30 to 35, and then we have 19 states with adult obesity over 35%. Pretty crazy stuff. That means there's 9 states with obesity rates lower than 30%. Just let that sink in. 9 states of the 50. So over 80% of the country is pretty much each 80% of the country has a 30 to 35% adult obesity rate. Just let that sink in. Pretty disgusting. Again, kind of discussed at the tail end of our video yesterday about how we should be looking more into the chemicals that are being put in our food, considering a lot of these chemicals are banned in somewhat like 30 plus countries around the world, including the EU and Japan. So just let that sink in. Back in the day, they stopped giving people the shot after 3 people died. 3, what has changed? Not quite sure. I think it really boils down to this: power and greed. People make a shit ton of money just basically towing the line, towing what the establishment and big pharma wants. Swine flu program is halted in 9 states as 3 die after shots. This is back in 1976. We can see that a lot of more people have died and have been injured via another medical procedure. Where we're not going to say which one, but the medical procedure that we're talking about has yet to be pulled. Robert Malone, one of the inventors behind the mRNA vaccine, says the militarized response to the pandemic response was a violation of fundamental rights on the Constitution and Bill of Rights, led to the countless deaths and hardship. There must be consequences and changes to our government. This cannot happen again. Full send, wholeheartedly agree. Robert Malone. Glad to see you back on Twitter. Elon Musk confirming secret Pfizer operation to silence critics of a particular medical procedure. Wow, not really surprising. But good on Elon Musk for promoting that and showing us the way, so to speak, in that regard. Every late night network comedian turned to Nancy Pelosi's well-behaved grandson, and they keep doing it even as the ratings evaporate. This is a new low, aside from the fact that he's telling everyone to use masks indoors while he and his band don't. Yeah, again, rules for thee, but not for me. Jimmy Fallon just looking like an absolute clown, dancing and singing about a medical procedure. Tell me you're not bought and sold, buddy. Elon Musk just exposed that the government caused way more deaths by colluding with social media companies to prevent COVID facts from coming out. And if you guys know the textbook definition of the word fascism, you would argue what the U.S. government, along with social media companies, were perpetuating fascism, because corporations and state actors joining together to push a particular agenda, a particular narrative, is definition of fascism. Here we have Jack Posobiec talking about network of doctors on Twitter pushing strict C-19 policies discovered to be fake accounts. Yeah, probably owned by some three-letter agency. Ever notice how C19 medical procedure commercials are the only medicine commercials that don't have 28 seconds of side effect warnings that include death? Yeah, quite the oddity if you ask me. Just the tip of the iceberg. Worst safety report for biopharmaceutical agents in history should have been pulled from use by February 1st of 2021. All involved will pay heavily in personal guilt shaming for some public proceedings, bringing justice. I think that's kind of hopeful. I don't think any, if any, I don't think many, if any, of these people feel personal guilt or shame for what they've done. Again, it all boils down to this. That as long as they get millions or tens of thousands of that, they're happy. So here we have the various the various side effects after taking the medical procedure that we've been discussing. Pardon me. Here's the chart. We can see a lot of these side effects have been reported by over 1,000 people. And again, we were talking about how just back in 1976, 3 deaths led to the pulling of a particular medical procedure pertaining to the swine flu. Why have we, where have we gone wrong? I lost my job because I refused to take a medical procedure and plan to stay that way. My son is now is now a college dropout because he refused to as well. My daughter, who graduates high school this year, can't go to college because she refused to get the medical procedure. Has this happened to any of you? While it hasn't happened to me personally, I do know a local community college that was requiring you to take this medical procedure just to attend online classes. Like, why are you worried about me spreading something if you take it and you're safe, especially if I'm in a Zoom call or something like that in Zoom class? I don't know, man. This clown world just blows my mind more and more every day. Over the weekend, thousands of French medical workers are protesting on the streets of Paris to demand better working conditions and increased salaries. Take a look. Again, mainstream media not covering this. These health workers were considered heroes, if you recall, back in 2020. These health workers were then basically forced to take a medical procedure or basically resign or lose their jobs, just like many other professions around the world. They were forced to take a medical procedure against their will to ensure a way to feed their family. Like, how despicable. I'm kind of curious as to whether the working conditions and increased salaries are just more or less combined with the whole we don't want to be forced to take a medical procedure, or if that's the real motive. I hope it's both, but good to see people protesting and making their voices heard. We've crossed 1 million views. Let's keep it going until the government has no choice other than to suspend the medical procedure that should have likely have never been approved in the first place. In the meantime, sharing widely will save lives. Dr. Asim Malhotra saying, it's my duty as a cardiologist to urgently inform every doctor, patient, and member of the public that the medical procedure product is likely contributory factor in all the unexpected cardiac arrests, heart attacks, strokes, cardiac arrhythmia, and heart failure since 2021 until proven otherwise. But again, mainstream media won't cover that because people they're beholden to are paying top dollar for them to say the opposite. RIP Adam Rich. He says he took the medical procedure because he trusts the science and he cares more about the lives of his friends and family, supposedly, and even you, than my own personal freedoms. Hashtag get the medical procedure. Now MFers. Um, and this guy points it out. When will they understand that freedom is foundational, not personal? They probably will never learn. And and they will unfortunately um, unfortunately learn the hard way. RP Adam Rich, not trying to talk bad against someone who's passed, but RIP. I hope your friends and family are doing okay. But again, just goes to show you how deep the propaganda runs between Jimmy Fallon, Adam Rich, Sean Penn, and many others, just towing the establishment talking points. We went from you need to prove your medical procedure status to enter to it's inappropriate to ask if someone took the medical procedure real quick. Here's the meme. And it's true. If you tried to treat people who refuse to take the medical procedure like slaves, peasants, or criminals, sorry, you reap what you sow. So now you're the guys. Now you're in a position where you're like, oh well, why does it matter if Jimmy took a medical procedure? It's like, well, Jimmy had a heart attack. Jimmy is a pretty healthy individual, and for him to just have a heart attack out of the blue after receiving a medical procedure within the past 3 months, I think there's something to that, or at least something we should be looking at. Moderna is conducting a clinical trial on a wireless wearable digital device to explore the psychological and behavioral impact of the immune response to an mRNA. Ah, to a medical procedure. Why? They want to establish your daily patterns, question everything. Sorry, guys, I had to do the blah because I realized that I was kind of going into the rhetoric, using words that they can tie to my video and flag it and take it down. So I have to reiterate medical procedure. The government is just a big revolving door for the interests that hijacked it. Again, showing you fascism should more appropriately be called corporatism because it is a merger of state and corporate power, and that's what we're seeing. This gentleman here that was a member of the FDA, or the FDA director, pardon me, between 2017 and 2019. Well, guess what? Now he's on the board of directors for Pfizer since 2019. Any coincidence? I don't know, but the revolving door needs to go. Elon Musk saying Russiagate was one of the most deranged and unhinged conspiracy theories spread by the media. Do you agree? Yeah, I do agree because I do still hear a few people who I no longer speak to, by their choice, mind you. They stopped communicating with me. They think that Russia completely interfered with the election, even though there's evidence that Hillary Clinton literally paid off the Russians to scoop up dirt on Donald Trump ahead of the 2016 election. But again, facts don't matter in this clown world. So onwards, U.S. is finally realizing the damage sanctions on Russia has been doing for the entire West. The fact that it's taken nearly 11 months to realize what we have said would happen on day one of the war speaks volumes. Yeah, it's pretty disgusting. Millions of people have to pay a surcharge on energy just to heat their homes in the middle of winter over in Europe. Some people paying 5 times what they did a year ago. Some people were paying 10 times what they're paying a year ago. So let that sink in. Pretty crazy stuff that so many people ate the propaganda up when it came to the war over in Ukraine, but nonetheless, it's still going on. Hopefully, we'll see some form of peaceful resolution here in the not too distant future, but again, time will tell. UK manufacturers issue a warning about energy support cuts. Could this be tied to the war in Ukraine? Is that why they're going to have energy support cuts? Are they going to do some more sanctions on Russia? I don't know, but China's yuan is near a 5-month high, and gold is now at an 8-month high in US dollar terms. Things are getting interesting. And again, like we've discussed many, many times on this channel, while the US and the West largely continue to inflate their currency into oblivion and have it backed by nothing, we have countries like China and Russia hoarding gold in the tons, basically to back their currency, and more countries are starting to see the writing on the wall. Hence, why we have countries like, I believe, Pakistan was looking to join BRICS, and many other countries will follow suit. That's not to say the Western hegemony falls with a whimper or falls within the next 5 to 10 years. I do think the Western hegemony still has a good decade or two before we do inevitably go down or falter. But it won't be with a whimper. I think we will more or less go out with a bang, because we don't want to see the U.S. along with other members of NATO don't want to see China or Russia take the number one spot. So we're gonna fight tooth and nail before that ever happens. UN now saying ozone layer slowly healing, hopeful to amend by 2066. Is this going to change their stance on the Paris Climate Accords? Are they going to continue to push for green technology being implemented in the West? Again, pretty crazy that they only fixate on the West, because a little discussion me and my buddy had regarding these greener technologies is like, what about the global South? Africa, large swaths of Africa, large swaths of what's it called? Sorry, South America, Central America. A lot of these countries have yet to fully industrialize or have their third and fourth generation third or and fourth industrial revolution. So what happens when these countries start industrializing? Are they going to be taxed like the people in Europe when they turn on their heat? Or are they going to be forced to implement green technology, i.e., buying expensive solar panels, i.e., building big wind turbines, i.e., like, it's just insanity, you guys. Or are they going to ramp up the measures so we can heal the ozone layer by 2050 or 2040? Like, where is this going? I don't know, but something to consider slash pay attention to. Hopefully, you guys found today's stream informative, educational, entertaining, or all of the above. If you did, please like and subscribe. Share with your friends and family. Hopefully, today's stream wasn't too ranty, too long for you, but if you did like it, please show some support. And I will see you guys all tomorrow, 9:15 a.m. Central Standard Time, for another stream. Until then, take care and invest wisely. And don't forget to pay attention to what Jerome Powell says today, right around 1 p.m., 2 p.m. Central Standard Time.